Hello, you over 3,000 people and the 82.5% of yet to subscribe. Today we're jumping into yet another faction deep dive. I'm going to be looking at the Kharadron Overlords, the space dwarf pirates of Age of Sigmar, and let's see what the Gunline army does in the new edition. So yeah, we're going to be looking at the Kharadron Overlords, a very cool, unique army to Age of Sigmar. What more could you want? Dwarfs that fly around in skyships with lots of guns and really cool aesthetics. A pretty cool army, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what 4th edition does sort of build for them. So they've got a couple of battle traits, and this is a little bit different from what we've seen in 3rd edition. So let's have a little look. So once per battle in the deployment phase, pick a friendly sky vessel. That's your frigate, ironclads, and your little gun haulers. That is part of a regiment from which no units have been deployed. Then pick a number of units up to its transport capacity, see its war scroll, that are in the regiment. Set up all of those units in the reserve, in the clouds. They have now been deployed. So basically, you can fill your boats full of dwarfs and put them in the sky. So in your movement phase, pick a friendly sky vessel in the clouds to use this ability. Set up the sky vessel anywhere on the battlefield more than 9 inches from all enemy units. Then set up all other units that were set up in the clouds with that sky vessel wholly within 6 inches of it and more than 9 inches from all enemy units. So basically, there's a lot of sort of reading about this one. Do you set up the units inside the sky vessel, or do they kind of get out and stand around it, wholly within 6 inches of it? I would say that you're standing outside of it. So you've got the reaction. You declared non-charge move abilities for friendly sky vessels. So use the sky vessel using this move ability. Pick a number of units up to that sky vessel's transport capacity. See its war scroll that are wholly within 6 inches of it to be the target. Units that have been transported this turn cannot be targets. Remove the targets from the battlefield after the sky vessel ends its move. You must set up each target unit on the battlefield wholly within 6 inches of that sky vessel and not in combat. These units have been transported. A unit cannot use charge abilities if it was transported in the same turn. So you can't drop in. So obviously you declared non-charge move abilities for your sky vessels. So you can't, so the way I'm reading this is you can't drop your sky vessel, jump out, and then charge, basically. Because you're basically, you can't jump out and charge. So they have another passive ability. So subtract 1 from the hit rolls for shooting attacks that target friendly Kharadron Overlords infantry units while they're wholly within 6 inches of friendly Arknaut, ironclad, or frigates. So +1 to hit. Now, they seem to have changed this a lot. So you kind of get your buffs now for being outside of the ships rather than inside the ships. Before, in 3rd edition and previous edition, you could ram pack it with Thunderers and basically fly up, and because it was classed as a garrison, you could fire out of it and not be in combat and everything else as though you were inside it, and it was pretty nuts. So they've kind of gone the complete opposite direction now, that all of your buffs and everything else is built to be outside of your ships using your sky vessels sort of with it. If that works, we'll see. I've not seen really many Kharadron Overlords on the table as yet, but maybe that's probably the reason why. It's quite a big adjustment with massive game changes this edition. Okay, so we've got the battle formation. So you've got the Iron Sky Attack Squadron, which is passive. Ignore the first damage point allocated that would allocate to each friendly sky vessel in each phase. It's not bad. -1 damage. It's pretty decent. Aether Runners, add 2 to the move characteristics of all friendly sky vessels. That's really good. The Engineers Expeditionary Force, pick a friendly non-unique Kharadron Overlords hero that does not have any artifacts of power. Give that hero 1 artifact of power from the invitations of this non-Skyport. The artifacts of power is given to this unit during the deployment phase, not during army composition. That's kind of cool because you're going to be able to sort of tweak what you're doing before, depending, especially for tournament play, but like before you actually see your opponent, which is kind of nice, rather than having to pick one that you know you can use for multiple different scenarios. And then there's the Grudge Corp wings, so add 3 to the range characteristics of ranged weapons used by friendly Thunderers and Grudge Stock gun haulers for the rest of the turn, which is quite nice. So next up we have the hero traits. This is for obviously your non-unique heroes. We have the first one is a passive one. Add 2 to the range characteristics of ranged weapons used by friendly Kharadron Overlords infantry units while they're wholly within 12 inches of this unit. That's pretty nice. Next we have the Grudge Bearer. Pick an enemy unit to be the target. Double the damage characteristic of this unit's weapons for attacks that target that enemy unit for the rest of the battle. That's really good. Passive, Cunning Fleet Master. Each time a friendly sky vessel wholly within 12 inches of this unit uses the redeploy command, add 2 dice and use the highest result when determining the distance. That's not too bad. Personally, I quite like, because you're a gunline army, so I quite like the idea of getting that +2 range. You could potentially pick the Grudge Bearer onto the Admiral, but you're only really going to get to use it on that one enemy unit. And that's about it, really, to be fair. Okay, so the Artifacts of Power. So again, this is for your non-unique heroes. So once per battle, any shooting or combat phase, pick an enemy monster within 12 inches of this unit to be the target. Until the start of your next turn, subtract 1 from the number of dice rolls when making charge rolls for the target to a minimum of 1. It's okay. Knocking off dice when it comes to charge is quite a mechanic that we're seeing a lot in Age of Sigmar 4, and it is actually quite good. So once per battle, your shooting phase, pick an enemy unit within 12 inches of this unit to be the target. Ward rolls cannot be made for the target for the rest of the turn. That's really good. Like, obviously, Seraphon have this, but it's a spell, and obviously that's kind of a spell. But this is just an artifact, and you've got guns that you're going to be able to shoot, and you just pick an enemy unit with a ward save, shoot at it, and that's it. It just pick an enemy unit within 12 inches of this unit to be the target. You don't even have to do anything. You don't roll a dice. You just pick a unit, and then ward rolls can't be used. That is super good, but it is only once per battle, though. So just bear that in mind. And then once per battle, reaction, opponent declares a spell. You can, once per battle, you can kind of deny it like a wizard. None of these are good. None of these are good. The reason why none of them are really good is because they're only once per battle. So personally, what I would probably do is just take the turn-off ward, because that's probably going to be used a lot more than what the other two are, to be completely fair. Okay, so we have Brock Grundingson. So we got Brock, and he's pretty decent. He's the main sort of character for the faction. He's the guy with the big airship on his head. Pretty good. And he is going to be coming in at 290 points. He is a War Master unique, and he does fly. He's a 3-up save, movement of 12, 8 health, control 2. He has his Grudge boost, so it's 18-inch range, 1 attack, 3s, 2s, -2 rend, D3 plus 3 damage, which is pretty sweet, because he's going to average out at least 5 damage off that shot. If you hit, it's only 1 dice, remember. And then Magistrate's Charter, 12-inch range, 6 attacks, 3s and 3s, -1 rend, 2 damage, can shoot in combat. So you can obviously see he does quite a lot of shooting. This is definitely a shooty army. And then you've got his Saw, which has got 5 attacks, 3s and 3s, 2 rend, 2 damage. So he's a bit of a beat stick. Then in any combat phase, you can pick up to 2 other friendly Skyfarer units with this unit's combat range to be the target, and add 1 to the attack characteristics for melee weapons for the rest of the turn. That's kind of nice. You're probably going to have him with a lot of engine riggers and sky riggers, the guys with the balloons on their back, because they're like your close combat guys. And then he has end of any turn, pick an enemy unit in combat with this unit to be the target and roll a d3 and inflict, on a 2+, inflict equal amounts mortal wound damage. Basically, he fires you with his mustache guns, which is kind of cool. You can kind of see them on the artwork on the side of his face. And then once per battle, your movement phase, pick up the 3 visible friendly sky vessel units holding within 24 inches of this unit. that are not in combat to be the target. That target can use run ability and still shoot and or charge later in the turn. That's really good, but it is only once per battle, so might be maybe on a turn 2 when you want to really get your guys into combat, or get forward and do some shooting. Next up, we have the Engine Master, and the Engine Master with his suit is a 220 points. He's a hero infantry. He flies, 3 up save, movement of 12, 8 health, control 2. He's got his Aether cannons at 18-inch range, 1 attack, 3s and 3s, 2 rend, 3 damage. That's pretty sweet. And then he's got his weapon batteries, 6 attacks, 3s and 3s, 1 rend, 1 damage, and can shoot in combat. And then he has his Aether Swords, 4 attacks, 4s and 4s, 2 rend, 2 damage. So pretty decent stat line all in all. So in your hero phase, you can pick a friendly sky vessel unit to be the unit's range combat, and then roll a dice and heal it for 3 health. So he's basically like a tech marine for your Kharadron Overlords if you're coming over from 40k and know what a tech marine is. Passive: add 1 to the field repair rolls for friendly engine rigger units while they are wholly within 12 inches of this unit. That's pretty cool. So getting +1 if you're an extra 1 engine rigger is always quite nice. Next, we got an Arknaut Admiral, and an Arknaut Admiral is going to come in at 180 points. This is the guy I would do the double damage on artifact if you wanted to, just because his hammer's damage 3. But he has a 3 up save, he moves 4, he's a dwarf, 6 health, control 2, he has pistols, so 3 attacks at range 10, 3s and 3s, -1 rend, 2 damage, and shoot into combat. And then he has his hammer, 3 attacks, 3s and 2s, -1 rend, 3 damage. And again, this is kind of what I would put that artifact on if you're going to single out a unit, because you're pretty much going to be damaging 6 on that. So you can pick a friendly Arknaut company unit, that's your basic infantry unit, while within 12 inches of this unit, the target, and add D6 to its control score. Okay, that's pretty good. And then you got once per battle in your army shooting phase, pick a friendly sky vessel unit wholly within 24 inches of this unit that is not in combat to be the target. Add 1 to the attack characteristics of the target's range weapons for the rest of this turn. +1 a shot, that's pretty good. And then once per battle army deployment phase, pick a friendly ironclad or frigate in this unit's regiment to be the target. And for the rest of the battle, each time a target uses an all-out attack command while this unit is wholly within 12 inches of it, no command points are spent. Which is good. Free all-out attack is always nice. Yeah, I would definitely have one in my force, especially for that +1 attack for your sky vessels, because they are basically your gun platforms. Next up, we have your Aetheric Navigators, and these guys are 130 points. Again, infantry hero, 3 up save, movement of 4, 5 health, control 2. Has his range pistols, just like the Admiral. And then he has his scope, which is 3 attacks, 3s and 4s, -1 rend, D3 damage. And then he has Aether Sight. This unit can use unbind abilities as if it was a wizard, 5+. And then once per turn, your hero phase, roll a D6 for each one. Pick a visible enemy unit within 18 inches of this unit to be the enemy target. And then for each 6, pick a friendly sky vessel unit within 18 inches to be the friendly target. Inflict D3 mortal damage on the enemy target, and if any damage points are allocated to the enemy targets by this ability, half its movement characteristics till the start of your next turn, and then add 3 to the movement characteristics for friendly targets. Cool. But you're looking for 1s and 6s, basically. Drekai Flint, he is a new character. He has his own book series from the Black Library. I haven't yet read them yet. They are on my list to read, but he is a pretty cool model, and he is 180 points. He's unique. Obviously, he's a hero. He's infantry. He's 3 up save, movement of 4, 6 health, control 2. He has his Equalizer Mark 3, which is his gun. Range 10, 2d6 attacks. Nice. Hits on 3s, wounds on 3s, -1 rend, 2 damage. Shoots in combat. And then he has Grunson's Axe, which is 4s, 3s and 3s, -2 rend, 2 damage. Anti-monster, +1 rend. And then he has, in his deployment phase, Captain of the Airslings. So pick a friendly Arknaut frigate in this unit's regiment to be the target. The target has the Airsling keyword. Add 1 to the damage characteristics of the target's melee weapons for the rest of the battle. Nice. And then end of any turn, Pick an enemy monster in combat with this unit to be the target and roll a d3 on a 2+. Inflict an amount of mortal damage on the target equal to the roll. Cool. And then he has a passive ability. You can reroll run rolls and charge rolls for the Aisling while this unit is in combat range. So he has his own frigate that's named, and then that's basically his thing. All right, it's pretty cool, lovely little model. It's nice to actually see a little bit more character being given into the Kharadron Overlords, and yeah, it's a beautiful, really lovely, nice model. Next up, you've got the Engine Master, and the Engine Master comes in at 130 points. This is the guy that's on foot, not flying around. So he is 3 up save, movement of 4, health of 6, control of 2. Then he has the Aethermite Hammer, 3 attacks, 4s and 2s, 2 rend, 3 damage. Pretty solid in combat. So he has a once per turn army your hero phase. Pick a friendly sky vessel unit within this combat range. Roll a dice on a 2+. For the rest of the turn, that target can retreat and or run ability and still use shooting attacks. That's pretty cool. And then no mortal damage is inflicted when you retreat. That's kind of nice. And then obviously he's an Engine Master, so pick a friendly sky vessel unit wholly within its combat range or within its combat range, and you can, on a 2+, you can heal 3. So he kind of repairs your ships, which is good to see. And he'll buff the guy with the flying version as well. The Code Right is one of the other newer models. He came out in the sort of latter side of the end sort of stages of 3rd edition, and he's 110 points. 3 up save, movement of 4, control of 5, health of 5, control of 2. He has his pistols, pew pew, 2 shots, 3s and 3s, -1 rend, 1 damage, can shoot in combat. And then he has Battle Tome, which is 3 attacks, 4s and 4s, no rend, d3 damage. He has all of his Battle Tomes on his back. Kind of, is that like foreshadowing for what it's going to be like this edition? And then once per turn, army your hero phase, pick up to 3 visible friendly Kharadron Overlord units to be the targets. Roll a dice for each target, and on a 3+, pick one of the following effects to apply to the target for the rest of the turn. Add 2 to the target's control score. Add 1 to the run rolls and charge rolls for that target. And then no mortal damage is inflicted on the target by retreat abilities. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I could see him being kind of used. He's got some nice little buffs there. Okay, now you've got your Aether Chemist. Your Sky Chemist. And this guy is 140 points. 4 up save, not as heavily armored as the others. Movement 4, 5 health, control 2. He's got his Antinomizer, which is a range of 8, 3d6 shots, hits on 4s, wounds on 4s, rend 2, 1 damage, can shoot in combat. Then he has Heavy Instruments, 3 attacks, 4s and 4s, no rend, d3 damage. So it shoots per turn, so once per turn army, your shooting phase. Pick a friendly Kharadron Overlords infantry unit wholly within 12 inches of this unit to be the target. Roll a dice. On a 3+, add 1 to the rend characteristics of the target's range weapons for the rest of the turn. That's pretty decent. I mean, okay, you are rolling a 3+, but, that's not too bad. There are other ways of getting rend, like in other armies, like Seraphon have a spell to get +1 rend. So this is basically, you're just going to pick a unit within 12 inches of this, roll a 3+, and then give them +1 rend to the end of your turn. That's quite good. So any combat phase, pick an enemy unit in this unit's in combat range with this target, and then roll a d3, and then subtract 1 from the hit rolls for the attacks. Yeah, so he's basically buffing your guys and debuffing enemy units. Pretty decent points. I would probably have him. I believe you get one in the Spearhead box anyway. It's either this guy or the Navigator. But yeah, pretty cool. Okay, the Arknaut Company, your basic infantry unit. In fact, they are pretty much one of the only real infantry units you have. Now, the app says that there's another 3, but let's be fair, they're flying. They're more cavalry-like units rather than infantry. But these are your only foot sloggers that actually, like, proper baseline, former battle line units. They come in at 110 points for 10 models. Pretty cool. So they have a number of options, obviously, because there's lots of unit options on this. So 1 in 10 models can replace their privateer pistol with an Aethermatic volley gun. You're going to do that. 1 in 10 models can replace their privateer pistol with a skyhook. You're going to do that. And 1 in 10 models can replace their weapon with a sky pike. You're going to do that. And the champion can't do anything with his. They have a 4-up save, which is not amazing, not great, but it's not too bad. They have a movement of 4. They have a health of 1 and control of 1. So they're privateer pistols, which they all get unless they change it. Has a range of 10, 2 shots, 4s and 4s, no rend, 1 damage, can shoot in combat. The volley gun, which you can have 1 of, unless you do a unit of 20, which is reinforced, then you can get 2, is a range of 15, 2d6 attacks, 4s and 4s, no rend, 1 damage, crit 2 hits, which is kind of nice. And then the sky hook, which is your big daddy weapon, is 15-inch range, 1 attack, 4s and 3s, 2 rend, d3 damage, anti-monster plus 1 rend. Now I'm just going to point this out straight away. You're probably never going to hit with that sky hook because it's 1 attack and you need a 4+. Most of the time you're going to miss. So in combat they have their hand weapons, which is 2 attacks, 4s and 4s, no rend, 1 damage. And then the sky pike, which is pretty much what you're going to be using this for rather than shooting it. 2 attacks, 3s and 3s, -1 rend, 2 damage, crit mortals. Brilliant. Right, so they are glory seekers. So you had 1 to hit rolls for this unit's attacks that target an enemy unit contesting an objective. +1 to hit while you're fighting on an objective is so good. So yeah, doesn't say wholly on an objective. It just says that they're contesting an objective. So you just have to fight a unit that's on an objective. That's so really nice. Yeah, I like that. I quite like these guys. They're pretty cool. They're nice models. I've got a soft spot for Kharadron Overlords, but then I've got a soft spot for pretty much most things in Age of Sigmar. But dwarfs in general and Sky Pirate dwarfs, definitely. Okay, engine riggers. These guys are 130 points for 3. They fly, they've got a champion. They have a number of options. So 1 in 3 models can replace their weapons with a volley gun, can replace their weapons with an athematic volley gun or a gun butt. All right, so you can have 1 volley gun. One of them, another one can replace their weapons with an engine rigger heavy weapon. You can either have a grappling launcher, skyhook, or a drill launcher and gun butt. The champion can't do anything. So they've got a 4-up save. They move 12. They have a 2 health and control of 1. You've got your rapid fire rivet guns, which is pretty much what they've all got unless you change. Range 10, 3 attacks, 3s, 4s, -1 rend, 1 damage, can shoot in combat. The volley gun, again, just like the Arc Company, and then the engine rigger heavy weapon, which is kind of incorporated a lot of the old changes back from 3rd edition into one weapon profile, which is now 15-inch range, 1 attack, 4s and 3s, 1 rend, d3 damage, anti-monster plus 1 rend. Then you got melee weapons. Your saws, 3 attacks, 4s and 3s, 2 rend, d3 damage, quite good, and then your gun butts, which are not so good. So, end any turn, pick a friendly sky vessel unit wholly within this combat range to be the target, make a field repair roll on a d6 for each unit, model in this unit. On a 4 to 5, heal 1, on a 6, heal 2. Now, your character buffs this, okay? So if you've got the character within combat range of these guys, it buffs that. So they're kind of like a mini repair unit for your big ships. So next up, we have the Sky Wardens. The Sky Wardens are another version of these. They're 150 points for 3. They have some weapon options as well. So they're all armed with the Vulcanizer pistols and sky pikes. So you can replace that. One of them can replace that for a volley gun with gun butt. And then another one can replace that with one of the heavy weapons. And the champion can't do anything. So again, the volley gun and the heavy weapons are exactly the same as the other unit. But these guys' pistols are range 10, 3 attacks, 3s and 3s, 1 rend, 1 damage, can shoot in combat. And then in close combat, the sky pikes are basically 2 attacks, 3s and 3s, -1 rend, 2 damage, crit mortals, and then the gun butts. You're probably going to be using these more as a close combat unit. With their 4-up save, their movement of 12, the health of 2, and the control of 1. And then at the end of any turn, they have their little bombs. So pick an enemy unit in combat with this target, roll a d3, and on a 2+, inflict an amount of mortal damage on the target equal to the roll, and that unit can immediately use the retreat ability as if you were in your movement phase, and no mortal damage is inflicted. So good. So you can charge in your turn, do all your attacks, and then at the end of the turn, do some mortal wounds on a 2+, and then run away. without actually doing any damage to yourself. So you're almost kind of like doing what Sylvaneth like to do, which we will be covering them very soon. Okay, so this is the war scroll that the vast majority of Kharadron Overlord armies build around, because they are your Thunderers. So 5 models for 140 points. Okay, this is basically every Kharadron Overlord player has probably got quite a lot of these, because this is what your army is going to be built about. They have a 3-up save. Amazing. They movement of 4, they have a health of 2, and a control of 1. Now, each model is armed with an Aether Shot rifle and a heavy gun butt. 2 models can replace their rifles with the Fumigator or the Deck Sweepers, and 2 can replace their Aether Shot rifles with the Mortar or the Aether Cannons. And the champion is got an Aether Shot rifle. So, what are these weapons? So, the Aether Shot rifles is range 18. They have 2 attacks. They hit on 3s. They wound on 4s. 1 rend, 1 damage. Not bad. Now, you can have 2 of these weapons. Range 10. Hit 5 attacks. 3s, 4s. 1 rend, 1 damage. Anti-infantry +1. It can shoot in combat. And then you've got the Gunshot Mortar and Aether Cannon. Range 18. 2s, 4s and 3s. 1 rend, D3 damage. And then the heavy gun butts, 4s and 5s, no rend, 1 damage. If this unit has not moved ability this turn and was not set up this turn, this unit's range weapons have shoot in combat for the rest of the turn. So if you don't move, you get shoot in combat. If you do move, then the only shoot in combat unit you're going to have is your Deck Sweeper. Now, the way I would probably equip this is potentially having 2 Deck Sweepers, have a unit of 10, for 300 points, perfectly fine. And I would only have like 2 Deck Sweepers in that entire unit. The rest of them would have rifles, and then I'd like take my mortars and Aether Cannons as well, and then just go from there. Because let's be fair, these guys are going to be moving forward only when they really need it to get into range. And if you get caught out in the combat, then you've got 2 Deck Sweepers to do a little bit of shooting in the shooting phase. And then you can do a lot more fighting. This is basically a lot more sort of shooty close combat, shooty army, rather than anything else. Now, there's a lot of other buffs. There's a lot of buffs there that you're going to be able to get, like +1 to hit. You're going to be able to increase that rend from the chemist, so you're going to be rend 2 on your range weapons and stuff like that. So you're going to be wanting a lot of buffs from your other characters onto this unit to really sort of pump out the damage. These guys and your ships is probably where you're going to go if you're going to go for a Kharadron Overlord army. And they just look so cool as well. Okay, the big centerpiece ship of the army, and this is your War Machines, and basically it's your Ironclad for 500 points. Now, it is a 3-up save. Amazing. It has a movement of 10. Okay. It has a health of 20 and control of 5. So this unit is armed with an Aether Shot carbines, Aether Shock torpedoes, boarding weapons, and one of the following. You can have a Sky Hook, a Sky Cannon, or a Volley Gun. This is basically the gun that's on the front of the ship. So we'll go through the guns. The Aether Shot carbines, which you have them, they have a 12-inch range, 8 attacks, 3 and 3s, -1 range, -1 rend, 2 damage, can shoot in combat. You've already got these. That's cool. They drop from 8 attacks to 4 attacks if you take 10 damage. Then you've got a torpedo, which is 18-inch range, 4 attacks, 4 to hit, 3 to wound, -1 rend, 2 damage. Again, you can increase that by 1 rend. Then you're either going to have a Sky Hook, a Sky Cannon, or a Volley Gun. So it's one of these, and then we can decide which one we'd like. So the Sky Cannon is 24-inch range. That's good. 2 shots, 4s and 2s, 2 rend, D3 plus 3. Okay. Then the Sky Hook is 24-inch range, 2 shots, 3s, 2s, -2 rend, D6, anti-monster +1 rend. And then a Volley Gun is 18-inch range, 4 D6, 4s and 3s, -1 rend, 1 damage, anti-infantry +1 rend. Now, I personally think as a weapon that is good for an all-rounder, not just trying to go into monsters or heroes, I would probably take the Sky Hook. It's 2 shots, it hits on a 3, it wounds on a 2, and it's got 2 rend, and it does D3 Sorry, D6 damage. Now the Sky Cannon is D3 plus 3, so you're going to average out at maybe 4 damage, where the other, this, which is not too bad, but you are hitting on 4s, and that's the downside to it. The Sky Hook for me is you're hitting better, and you can increase that to 2. You're also hitting on 2s, you've got decent rend, and you've got a decent amount of damage. The +1 against monsters is nice. The volley gun doing 4d6 is amazing, but if you roll really badly, you're really going to be gutted. Like, if you roll 4 dice and you, like, roll 2 1s and 2 2s, and you know, that's like 6 shots out, you know, out potential, what? That's like 24 that you could potentially do. Yeah. Like, if you're going to be coming up against a lot of Horde armies, and your meta is a lot of Horde, a lot of Skaven, a lot of Clan Rats, maybe having a great volley gun on one of your ships is really good for really hosing down those guys. But for me, I kind of like the Skyhook. I think it does everything that you kind of need it to do. And you got to remember, if you spike hard, that damage is going to splash through the unit. It's not going to, you know, like 40k, it's just going to kill. It's not like a las cannon where you fire at a squad and you're like, yeah, I rolled a 6 damage, and you're like, yeah, you killed 1 Marine. In Age of Sigmar, the damage splashes across into the other units. So, that one. So, obviously, in your movement phase, you have heavy bomb racks. So, pick an enemy unit that does not have fly and that is passed across this phase to be the target. Roll 10 dice, and every 4+ inflict a mortal damage. Cool. Transport capacity, you can hold up to 3 friendly Kharadron Overlord infantry units with a combined model count of 22 models. That's really nice how they've now said that it's 3 up to 3 units. What does 22 models add up to? Well, that's 2 units of Thunderers and 2 heroes. That is a regiment right there. You're probably going to be able to get a decent hero, a support hero, 2 units, and your sky ship all in one, which is your sky ship, your 2 units, and your hero, and then your general's hero. That's all 5 units into 1 regiment, in your general's regiment right there. Deployment phase, great engine riggers. Pick one of the following effects to be the target for the rest of the battle. Add 2 to the unit's movement characteristics. Add 1 to the total number of units, and 10 to the total number of models this unit can transport. So you can up the transport capacity, and this unit can use the unbind ability as if it was a wizard. Right. So, what is this? So, pick one in your deployment phase, pick one of the following effects to apply to this unit for the rest of the battle. So, +2 movement to its move characteristic is pretty nice. You mean you're going to be moving 12. You can add 1 to the total number of units and 10 to the total number of models this unit can transport. So, you can basically pop it up to 33. All right. So, that's kind of nice. You can kind of maybe put another regiment inside this one, which is pretty cool. And then you can fly around and do all that stuff. I quite like the Ironclad. It's a really cool model, and it's got a lot of guns, and you're gonna have at least one of them in your army. Or are you? Next up is your Archnaut frigate, and this is your middle-sized ship in your army. These are 320 points. They have a 3-up save, love it. They have a movement of 12, because obviously it's a smaller ship, so it moves slightly faster than your larger one. It has a health of 15 and a control of 5. It has an Aethershot carbines. It has a Skyhook and a Sky Cannon. Again, so you're armed with an Aethershot carbines, boarding weapons, and one of the following profiles. Again, we're going into sort of the sort of weapons. They are pretty much the same as the other one. The only difference is your Sky Cannon has D3 plus 1 rather than D3 plus 3. And your Skyhook is still the exact same. Your Skyhook is hitting on 4s rather than 3s. The fact that they're on this ship, I would probably go for the Sky Cannons, because you're getting a better chance of wounding. You're still hitting on 4s regardless, but you're wounding on 2s. You're Ren 2, and you're looking at least maybe getting at least 2 damage per shot, minimum maybe 3. So it's kind of equaling out. So I would probably go for the Sky Cannon for that one. in your assault phase, and this is the funny part. This is what I love about this unit. So it's an assault boat. This unit cannot use this ability if it is in combat or has used a run or retreat ability this turn. Now, there are ways of getting around that, because there are ways of being able to allow you to run and charge and run and shoot. So that's kind of cool. Pick a number of units in the transport capacity that are wholly within 6 inches of it and that have not charged this turn to be the targets. Then make a charge roll of 2d6. This is so cool. So you guys are outside, so you pick a number of units up to your transport capacity. What is the transport capacity, you ask? You can transport up to 2 friendly Kharadron Overlords infantry units with a combined total of up to 12 models. So you can get a unit of, say, your close combat engine rigger guys, Sky Wardens, and a hero, or maybe 2 units of them. Put them in, pick them up, and then roll that are wholly within 6 inches, and then roll 2d6. And then remove the target from the battlefield. Yes, it flies off. Then this unit can make a distance up to half of the charge roll and must end the move within half an inch of a visible enemy unit. Then set up the targets wholly within this unit's combat range. The target can be set up in combat and have a strike first for the rest of the turn. This unit and the target has charged. So what is this in a nutshell? So you pick this sky vessel, as long as you haven't run and retreated. You have 2 units of your close combat Sky Wardens next to it, up to 6 models each. So you take both of those 2 units, pick them up, and the ship. You put it. You remove the target from the battlefield. Then this unit can move a distance up to half of the charge roll and must end the move within half of the visible enemy unit. Then set the target up wholly within this unit's combat range. So you pick it up, you put it back down half of your charge roll. Yep. And then that target unit jumps out. So basically, if you need the thing that's kind of annoying is you move up to a distance. Oh, sorry, I completely read that wrong. Let's change that. This unit can then move a distance up to the value of the charge roll and must then. I don't know why I was getting half of the value. Ignore all of that. So you basically pick up, you move, it's a charge. So basically, you get into combat, and then the units inside it also get deployed into combat half an inch. And then you get strike first. Like, that's so good. It really is funny because you can basically, your ships are targeting and fighting. Now, your ships are not amazing in combat. They have boarding weapons, 8 attacks, 4s and 4s, but it's basically the 2 units that you're bringing with you. Then, in your movement phase, medium bomb racks, again, you can do the flyover and do all of that stuff as well. So, yeah, I read that wrong. My fault. But as we fit, you basically charge with your ships, with the 2 units, and then get strike first. That's so good. I love that. Then you got the gun stock gun haulers, and these are your little sort of crew of 2 or 3 guys, and they have a couple of guns on them, and they're 200 points each. So they're 3 up save, love it. Movement of 12, health of 10, control of 2. Again, they're armed with the shot carbines and boarding weapons, and one of the following. You can either have a skyhook or a drill cannon. So again, the carbines are 12 shots, 2s, 3s and 3s, -1 rend 2 damage, pretty decent, shooting combat. And then the sky cannon is 2 shots, 4s and 3s, -1 rend 3 damage, or a drill hook. She's going to get a drill hook. You've got 1 shot, you hit on 3s, you wound on 3s, it's 3 rend, 3 damage. To be fair, I would do that. I would probably just go for the drill hook because of the high rend, high risk, high reward. Let's look at it that way. You've got a 50-50 chance of hitting, and if you hit, you're going to do 3 rend and you're going to do 3 damage. Your close combat is not great. So you've got the lightning bomb racks. Again, you could fly over units and blow them up. You've got a transport capacity of 1 friendly Kharadron infantry unit up to 5 models. So you can put a unit of like Sky Wardens or something like that in them, or even a unit of Thunder stock, your shooter unit. So it's fine. But while a friendly Archnaut, Ironclad, and frigate are within this unit's combat range, both units have a friendly ward up, a 6-up ward. 200 points for a ward save is quite expensive, so I'm not really looking at that. But I look at these units more as units that are really going onto the flanks, getting objectives, can do a little bit of shooting, and can do their little flying over their maneuvers and dropping stuff like that. And generally as a screen unit. 200 points for a screen unit for a health 10. Yeah, and they're war machines. They're not monsters, so they're not going to be affected by any of the modifiers for that. That's the Kharadron Overlords. They're a little bit convoluted in regards to how all of their battle traits work, but basically you're getting buffs for being outside your ships and wholly within 6 inches of them. The frigates are really cool because you can just literally pick up units and charge into combat with your ship and your 2 units, which means it's only 1 charge roll. That's so good. 1 charge roll, and if you mess it up, it's still 1 CP to bring essentially 3 units into combat. Are you amazing in combat? No. Are you funny? Yes. You're flying dwarfs, flying around in sky ships, and it's just so cool. I kind of like them. I'm interested to see what they get. I'm really liking the fact that they've been given that new character, and he has that named frigate as well, which is buffed. So obviously with the frigate rule and him, that's really kind of cool. And I would be tempted to sort of do them if I ever did a KO army. But all in all, they're very interesting. They're very unique to Age of Sigmar. So yeah, pretty cool. That's the video. If you like what I do, obviously, please subscribe, like, comment, share, ring the bell, all that good stuff, and check out my other members and Patreon areas. And if you want to support me in other ways. And that's the video. And I will catch you in another one. Lots of faction reports coming.